welcome to this week's edition of Think Big. I'm your host, Akia Garnett. I am thrilled because I'm joined in the studio by Julia Westphal, who is CEO for Hera Hub DC, a female-focused co-working space located in Friendship Heights, Washington, D.C. Julia is passionate about building a program for female entrepreneurs to collaborate and support each other because of the experiences she has had in her own career. Hera Hub is a shared, flexible work and meeting space where entrepreneurial women can create and collaborate in a professional, productive, spa-like environment. I am so thrilled to introduce to some and reacquaint with others, none other than Julia Westphal. Hello, Julia. How are you?
Thanks so much for having me. I'm wonderful.
Absolutely. And thank you so much to Rita Goodrow for making the
yes.
introduction. Rita over at the Women's Business Garden. She's doing great things over there too. And she was a recent show guest. You can check out that episode at akiagarnett.com/think big. So there's Rita's plug there. So
Oh, yeah. She's great. She's a member and she's really awesome.
She's just amazing. So Hera Hub, I just fell in love with it. I love all the great things that you're doing for women to help them move their own vision and mission in life forward. Entrepreneurship is difficult.
Yes, it is.
It's fun. It has a lot of joy in it, but it is definitely not for the faint of heart.
Absolutely.
But one of the things that we talked about when coming up with the topic for tonight is that women, especially women in business, raising a business really requires an entire village of support. And that's exactly what you've done at Hera Hub. So for those and for, even myself who may not know a whole lot about Hera Hub, can you just tell us about it?
Yeah, well, first of all, I want to just say I love your show name, Think Big.
Oh, thank you.
Because I think that's really awesome. And one of the quotes that we have on our wall is go big or go home. Oh. So when I saw your Think Big, I thought, okay, this is destiny. that I should
awesome.
be talking with you. But yeah, really it's about creating an environment where women can get the collaborative support that they need when starting their businesses. A lot of times they're experts in their field. They are really have maybe a career where they've really put themselves into learning that skill set. But when they go off to start their own thing and start their own business, sometimes it's really hard to do all the other things that are required to be successful in a business. And that's really where the community comes into play. And why we're focused on that at Hera Hub is building that collaborative work spirit that really is helpful for people when they're getting their business started or sustaining it, once even if they've been in business for 20 years.
Wow, that's great. So you do tend to have some women in business who have been somewhat of a veteran in their craft. And
absolutely. One of my members had her own business for 31 years and she sold it and now she's an executive coach, but it's different for her now because she doesn't have the support staff she had when she had her own business.
Right.
And we have people in all different stages, people that are starting out, people that have been in the business for 20 years and find that they are needing support and they feel isolated at home. And I think that that's one of the things that we really work towards is trying to give them an opportunity to connect with other women that are kind of in the same that are like-minded. They're building their businesses, and so it makes it really a great way to share and collaborate together, even if you're not in the same industry.
I got it. And so for Hera Hub, and I do want to take some time to talk about your own career and what led you to this, but for Hera Hub, where did that name come from? Because it's certainly not something that you hear every day.
Right. Well, the founder is actually in San Diego. There were 3 locations in San Diego. Her name is Felina Hansen, and she started Hera Hub out of her own need, which is what great entrepreneurs do. There's a problem that needs to be solved, and hers was lack of creativity and lack of a collaborative work community. So she went out trying to find it, and there really wasn't a space or a place where she felt that she was connecting with the community like she wanted to, or had the same vibe and feel that where she felt she was going to be productive. And so she decided to build one. Which is really what happens with a lot of great entrepreneurs. And so there are 3 locations in San Diego, but the name came from the Greek goddess Hera, who is a protector of women. So she selected that because she is female-focused, not exclusively women, but female-focused, and so she felt like that was a really great way to communicate the vision of really focusing on on supporting women in their businesses.
Right, and you guys are also in Sweden.
Yeah,
And I mean, that's how do you
Yeah.
do that? I mean, we're going to come back to that, but I
I
just
know.
think that's really interesting.
Yeah, she's expanding worldwide.
Yeah.
She really wants to support 20,000 women by 2020, which is a really a big goal.
That's an
But
amazing goal.
Yeah, but she's really quite focused.
Well, I
And
hope
if anybody's
so.
capable, she is. So, and I'm delighted to be part of that. That was really what drew me to Hera Hub in the first place.
Right. So then tell
Yeah.
us about your specific role as CEO for Hair Hub DC.
Well, I bought the business. I bought a license agreement to start the DC location. I was the first one outside of the corporate office, and which I really enjoyed being the first.
Right, sure.
It's really a lot of fun, and it was 3 years ago, and almost 4 years ago now. In December it'll be 4 years, and I read about it online, and that she wanted to expand.
Really?
And, yeah, and so I just reached out and contacted her, and
Wow.
then 4
Well,
months
there you
later
go for
I had an
networking.
agreement.
That's 4 months later.
4 months later we had an agreement, and then I opened it about a year after that.
Oh, that's just amazing.
So, yeah. So it's been a great adventure.
And how long has it been so far?
I was open 2 years earlier this May, and actually in the space.
Well, we'll come back to
So,
lessons
yeah,
learned a little
yeah,
bit later
yeah.
on, but you've got a pretty extensive background in business operations. You've done, quite a few things. Can we talk a little bit about what your actual career path has been and what led you to, be able to stand in those shoes to run and to launch something like Hera Hub?
Yeah, I started out actually in tech. Out of college, I took a couple of years to kind of, wait tables and do things like that, and then finally I thought this is boring. I need to do something more, and so I went to work for IBM and worked there. I was a systems engineer for a while, and then went into sales, and then I left IBM and went to work for Lang Laboratories. Now this is many years ago.
Right.
So, and a lot of people may not even know who Wang Laboratories was, because they're not in business anymore, but they really were a company that started word processing. So it was a long time ago. And so I was living in Georgia, in Atlanta, and then Wang decided to open the first retail store for any major manufacturer. So there were no computer retail stores back then.
Right.
So I came to Washington, D.C., and we opened the first retail store, which I think was really my first entrepreneurial venture, because we were the only ones doing it. And it was within the structure of a Fortune 500 company,
Right.
so it was a safe
kind of
sort
had
of
that
thing.
protection and so forth.
But again, I raised my hand and said, "I'll be first."
Right.
And I think that that's the thing that I really enjoy. I'm not put off by that. I kind of prefer that,
Right.
actually. So I think that's really, that kind of attitude is what really has driven me to do this now. And so after I worked for Wang Laboratories, I got laid off from there, had a great career, but eventually there was a downturn in the tech bubble, exploded, and people lost their jobs. And so I thought, well, this is a great opportunity for me to just chill. And so I started working for small businesses doing their bookkeeping, because I knew how to do that. And I did that for, 25 years
And
or
so
more.
you were in business for yourself at that point?
Yeah, I was an
Okay.
independent contractor, but I worked with a lot of small businesses.
Yeah.
And what I learned was so much about what it really takes to keep a small business going. And it's not just the money, although that's part of it, but it's also the resilience. It's also, you have to handle and manage all different kinds of things. And I learned from other people's experiences. I helped them as I could, because I'd had a lot of great training when I was at Wang, because I was in sales and marketing and a sales manager, and gave me a lot of great HR training too, which ultimately then I would help my small business clients with putting together a policy, employee handbook and things like that.
Yeah.
So I did that
Something
for a
that
lot
you
of
don't
years.
realize
Yeah.
you need until
Right.
you're really into it.
Right, and then so
yeah.
you have a problem. And
Right,
then,
right,
yeah,
right.
and you really should be doing it right from the get-go. So I did a lot of those types of things. I worked on a charter school, opening of a charter school, and then I was director of finance for a marketing and PR firm, and then I did that back and forth, and so which was really great experience.
Wow,
So
Julia, that is all very exciting.
yeah.
So,
it was a
what
lot
did
of
you
fun.
what did you do at International Business Machines? Actually,
Yeah, I was in sales. And I was a systems engineer, so I actually
Yeah.
went out to people who had our computers and were running accounting systems and helped them if they had system problems.
right.
So, which actually I didn't mind doing that. I was pretty good at it, but it wasn't as people oriented as I liked. So, I really enjoyed more the sales and marketing.
So you said earlier that you really enjoyed being that 1st and you enjoyed being the first. So Hera Hub you were kind of the first in many ways. So the first in this area, right?
Yeah, first in the area.
The first to be able to do that, right?
Our first expansion location.
Right. So that's, more than one first. That must have been really exciting then.
Yeah, it was because it's, and I really, I'd been involved in working with a lot of small businesses, but I really wasn't part of the startup or the entrepreneur community per se that exists here. And there's a great community here of a lot of people, and they're doing really some great things in DC to support women business owners and all of that. But so that was another reason why I really liked it, because it was an opportunity for me to continue to learn and grow, and still continue to have some and not feel like I was stagnating, and
and this kind of gives you an opportunity to kind of work across different needs that businesses have. So,
it's awesome. And I have my members, I have a woman building power plants in Africa.
Wow.
Because she can. Because she's an amazing woman. I have lawyers, and I have people with marketing companies, and I have best-selling authors, and I have, it's just this fabulous group of women that come together because they want a bigger community,
right?
And sometimes even if they've had a lot of business experience, they haven't had their own business,
right?
So we really work to support them in that. Really, whatever they need, I try to help make the connections and things for them.
So. I believe I know the answer to this question, but I'm pretty sure your perspective is going to really enlighten us all. Why is your work so important?
Well, I think that it's important to support people to help them achieve their goals. And a lot of times in businesses and business communities and even in the startup community here, a lot of times it's about what somebody else's goals are for your business.
Right.
And really, that's not really what it should be about. It's what a person's goals are for their business.
Right.
And I think it's really important to make that difference, because I see so many women that are trying to make their business fit somebody else's expectations about what their business should be. A lot of times women don't feel like if they're working part-time because they want to spend time with their family, that people think they're dedicated to their business. I've worked part-time. I know it's harder to work part-time and try to accomplish and still have a great business and be taken seriously as a professional. And so they actually are working harder sometimes than a lot of other people to give that flexibility in their life. So I think that those, we just need to support people with, to help them be successful, and whatever they feel helps is that for them.
Right.
I've had some of my members that have had to go back and get jobs because, as they continue to side launch their business because they just haven't been able to get it off the ground, and I help them find jobs.
Right. And that whole concept of work while you launch is, that's a real thing now.
Yeah.
There are lots of people.
It's a great thing.
Yeah, and they're just being a bit more conservative about how long they're taking to get themselves up and running, and making sure that they have some stability for their life, because it's such a tireless and selfless thing to go into business for yourself. So it's just wonderful that you are providing these services. It appears to me that you are building more of a community and not just a workspace solution. Would you say that's correct for Hera Hub?
Absolutely, absolutely. I spend a lot of my time making connections with people, but listening to my members and trying to understand what problems they have, how I can help them solve them, how I can support them. Sometimes it's like, don't come back in here until you've done this.
Right.
Because sometimes they hesitant because they want it to be perfect, and so they don't do anything until it's perfect. Well, nothing is ever perfect. It just needs to be good enough, and it needs to be professional and well represent you. But we kind of delay ourselves a lot of times. So sometimes it's that big sister sort of approach that says, no, this is okay. You need to do this now, and don't come back in here until you can tell me that you've done it.
Wow.
So I've done that because I've had people come back and go, it actually worked.
Yeah.
And that I can't tell you how wonderful that is to feel that. And it's not just me; it's all the whole community.
Sure.
You get to know people, and they support each other in that same way. We had one member struggling really with her website, and several of us were like, dinging on her, saying, in a positive way, saying you need to get this done. And finally she did, and everybody was so excited for her.
Yeah.
So that's what really drives and motivates me.
But when I look at all the different programs and services, and we'll talk a little bit more about that as we get into the conversation a bit more, you've got a lot of different things that you're offering people. I just can't see how someone could fail with all the things, services and classes and small groups, all kinds of things in different formats for people, no matter how you like to learn or spend time with folks, relationship build and all those great things. It's like you've created a format for each of those. But for Hera Hub specifically, who is the ideal member?
The ideal member is someone who really is focused on building their business, whether it's a small business or a bigger business, that is willing to make an investment in their business, not only in terms of money and paying the co-working fee and that sort of thing, but really spending the time and the energy to think about their business in a different way, to go outside their comfort zone, and somebody who feels isolated at home. There are a lot of people that love working at home and love working by themselves, and it's and it would be too much to be trying to work in an environment with other people, even when it's quiet like ours is. But so I think when people are feeling that isolation too and are looking for creativity and that sort of thing, that's really my ideal member, and it could be any stage of business, really.
Got it. How often are the members coming in and using the space?
Well, it depends. We have a very flexible membership plan, so we have some people that come 3 hours a week.
Okay.
We have some people that work there for 4 or 5 days a week. We have office space where we have 4 offices where people rent the offices full time. And then we have some members that are just community members, so that they come, maybe they're renting the conference and meeting rooms for their client meetings, and they come to some of the member events, but they're not co-working there because sometimes they actually do their work at the client site. Right. So they're coming. So we like to offer some flexibility because I think that's really everybody works differently, and so it's nice that it's not one size fits all.
What would you say you have found to be the biggest challenges that women in business are facing, those that you've been working with in the last couple of years?
Getting out of their own way and allowing themselves to be successful. I think that sometimes that's the hardest thing, is to really accept the fact that you know what you're doing, that you're accomplished, and that you should just relax and go for it. I was at another event this morning with 4 amazing women entrepreneurs in DC that have built these amazing businesses, and we had quite a conversation about that exact thing, and how women like to really be confident. They want to know 100% that they can do something before they try it. Right. And sometimes it just
failure hurts.
Yeah, and so sometimes you'll never get there if you wait till it's perfect, because it's always a moving target. Right. And so I think that's what I see is that especially with people that are very accomplished in their professional aspect, maybe they're a climate change expert, and so they're really a scientist, and they're very skill set driven, and sometimes all of the business things really they have to do them too. And so that's the other thing, is just allowing people to help you.
Do you find that there are any market forces or external challenges that make it difficult for women to create success?
Absolutely. I think that a lot of times the business climate, or depending on what they're, I mean, we kind of know what all of those things are.
Right.
But I think that there's really strength in working together to help push everybody forward and move everybody forward. And DC government has actually got a great initiative called the Beacon Initiative, where they're really focused on helping want DC to be the #1 city in the country for women to start businesses and build their businesses,
Right.
and are actually putting a grant together and putting some resources to it to help with the access to capital, which we know is always a problem. Help people navigate the resources that are out there. There's so many things out there available. Sometimes it's really hard figuring out what's relevant to
Right,
you.
right. And sifting through it, I'm
And
sure
sifting
that
through is so time consuming too.
Right.
So that's the other thing that we try to help people navigate is, do I really need to know about this or not?
Yeah, right. Is this
is it
standing
a
in my
waste-
way of success,
right,
or can
right.
I? Yeah,
It's a waste of time.
Right.
So, and it's hard to know that sometimes.
right.
So, but I think that that's the nice thing about having a collaborative community, that you get that feedback and perspective from other people that really care about your success.
Right.
And there's nothing in it for them. Mm-hmm. They're not in it for the money. They're not in it for anything, but they're just in it to support you.
That in itself is amazing. You have a business booster sort of program. You have member lunches. You have a think tank, if you will. As I said earlier, all sorts of smaller group activities, structured learning activities. How did you carve out these things, and how were they chosen?
That's the beauty of buying a license.
Right.
Is Felina Hansen she's taught entrepreneurship. She's worked with women business owners, and she has developed a lot of these programs. And of course, they all have to be implemented differently because everybody's community is different. But she's put a lot of time and energy into finding the things that actually work, because you don't need more programming. You actually need to help people get their work done.
Right, right.
And so she's actually built that, and I don't do all the programs that she has. Some I've started on my own, and she's kind of accepted and does she's doing them there in San Diego, which is really great because it's a collaborative sort of thing. But that's, when I was getting ready to buy the license agreement, I had some people say, "Why don't you just do this on your own?" And I thought, well, why should I?
Right.
Why
It's
reinvent the wheel?
Right.
If it's already done.
Yeah.
And so I really, that was kind of my thing. And I didn't have a lot of time. I bought it when I was 60. So, so I'm like, if I have to spend 3 years trying to figure this out on my own, I'm going to be way too old to do this.
How did you choose Friendship Heights?
I lived there. I lived close by, and I knew the women in Bethesda, Chevy Chase, AU, Tenleytown, down at Glover Park.
Right.
I mean, just that whole, and we have members from Virginia. We have
Sure.
members from across town.
Yeah. How
It's
big
harder
is
for
the
them.
service footprint, would you say, on average?
You mean how?
How far out are your members?
Probably, well, I would say most of my members are can either walk or get there in a 10-minute drive.
Wow.
10 or 15-minute drive. But the others,
great.
yeah. And I think that's because you want your workspace to
Right.
be
Close.
convenient,
That's right. Yeah.
and close. Or otherwise, it's too hard to kind of utilize it and put it into your day. So,
Wow.
so that's,
As I was checking out the various partners that you are also working with, I saw that you have created these strategic relationships with
Yeah.
other women business focused or oriented organizations.
Absolutely.
And certainly, as you mentioned earlier, you could have done some of this stuff yourself, but you took the time to create these relationships. What went into the decision-making process for each of the ones that you created relationships with, such as NABO and...
Yeah, it was really just about what members need. And again, not reinventing the wheel.
Right.
There's no point in trying to create something that somebody else has created before. And I try to find the relationships that will be meaningful for my members. We just did this morning, we did this great event with PNC Bank. They have a PNC Women Connect program, and we co-sponsored with Black Female Founders and
Right.
Springboard Enterprises.
Yeah.
And so it was really great. And they had, I would probably say 100 people there listening to these four women. And Black Female Founders is a wonderful organization.
Yeah.
And we got members that belong there. And so I just, like Rita has a great program with her Women's Business Garden. There are other co-working spaces. And so one of the things we're actually talking about right now is once summer comes, we all really want to get together, and the organizations that support women business owners, we know who we are,
Right.
but we really don't get together and talk about it very much. Just how we can improve what we're doing.
Right.
Share amongst ourselves each other's programs and things, because if somebody else has a great accelerator program and they're serving that need, then not everybody needs to develop the same thing.
Right.
So we're just going to get together and try to talk about how we can do a better job of
Right.
supporting women.
And with
in the
DC's
community.
goal to make DC the number
Yeah,
one.
yeah.
I mean, it seems
It
like
just
you
really
have the right
works.
initiative for that.
Yeah, and it's really exciting. It's great. And some people say, well, why? If there are other co-working spaces that support women entrepreneurs, there's a great one out in Virginia.
In Springfield,
that has childcare.
Right.
I don't have childcare. We're complementary. We're not competitive. And I think that that's really important, because it's important to really understand that. And I think that that's also what we bring in the membership in our community. As some people say, well, you've already got writers in your membership. Why should a writer join? I said, because everybody writes differently. Some
Right.
people are technical writers. Some people are fiction writers.
Right.
It's important to have that group to support you. So because they get your work
Right.
too. So
Thank you for
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Stay right here. We'll be right back.
great.
You've been watching Think Big. I'm your host, Akia Garnett, and I'm joined here with Julia Westfall, who is the CEO of Hera Hub DC. And we're in the second half of our interview. Thank you again, Julia. I can't say thank you enough to you for the great things that you're doing for women business owners and entrepreneurs and those who aspire to become them in the Washington, D.C. area.
Yeah, thank you.
You have a mentor program, a mentorship program. How do you pair up the mentors with the mentees at Hera Hub?
Well, really, we really do a lot of what we call peer mentoring. You know, sometimes somebody's mentoring me, and then I turn around and I mentor someone else. So that's really part of the collaborative work spirit that we build. So it's in terms, and we actually just had a conversation about this at our member lunch.
Okay.
You know, we had somebody posed a question, and we were just having a discussion, and it was amazing the great advice and really strong mentoring that kind of came out of just a quick 20-minute discussion. And so what we try to do is create those opportunities through business development power hours, where we have, you know, someone who is really good in business development there in the session every Monday to really support members. So somebody might do the sales mentoring, and somebody else might do the writing mentoring and that sort of thing. But it's also, we all mentor each other too in some way, shape, or form down the road, and that's what is really great about a collaborative work community is that you all just really benefit from that brain trust that you build, you know, and the support you have from everybody in the community.
And we've, you know, I've talked about this before on past episodes regarding, you know, some of the statistics that are out there for women in business and some of the major challenges, and it's still, you know, on record that it's confidence. That is the number one challenge that women have, getting over that hurdle. It's not the technical skill set. It's not the resume. All of those things are just great. It's none of those things. It really is this internal thing, the confidence. How do you feed your members? How are you helping them get to that layer of where they really may be lacking?
You know, a lot of times I end up saying, this is what I see when I see you. And sometimes they never have that perspective. And I think perspective is really critical, because we sit around the table and we have people that, you know, one of my members she's writing a book that she wants to turn into a screenplay. It's a thriller, and her goal is to win an Oscar. Right. You know, it's like, and you're like, okay. Yeah. That's really amazing. So when somebody sees that, somebody has those kinds of goals, they go, oh, well, this person I work with all the time. I'm in here at the office. She becomes a role model. But then in turn, she looks for someone else. Right. You know, to provide that for her. But I think a lot of it is just having that open discussion about, and I do that a lot. A lot of it is one-on-one conversations with people. Right. About, no, you really need to get out there. You're doing some amazing things. And they don't see it that way.
And are you facilitating those connections, or are they happening more organically?
Well, sometimes they're facilitated. Sometimes I really put people together, whether it's for a business reason or they're at a similar stage of business and completely different businesses. Say, boy, you guys should really talk because you've got similar stuff going on. Right. And that's what I really love to do, and I think that that's the real benefit of being in a place, it being a Hera Hub, is that you're not going to get at some of the other places. Every place offers something different. Right. And I think that that what we really offer that's the most beneficial is that insight that I have of working with small businesses for 30 years. Right. To say, this is what I see, this is my feedback, this is my perspective, have you thought of this? You know, and that sort of thing. And I think that, you know, and some people need that and are looking for that. Right. And some people, you know, they need something else. And so that's what I think that's what really separates Hera Hub from some of the other spaces out there.
Got it. And do you get questions sometimes from people regarding incubators or accelerator programs?
Absolutely.
Are you a chamber? I mean, how do you help people understand the unique role that Hera Hub plays in juxtaposition to all of the other great types of programs that are out there?
Yeah, a lot of it is I invite people to come in. We have days where they come in for coffee meetings. They meet members. I spend a lot of time talking with people, asking them questions about what they're really looking for. And because if they're looking they want to start a government contracting business, and they're just getting started, they really need to be down at Eastern Foundry,
Right.
which is down in Crystal City, which has a great program it focuses on people building government contracting businesses. So I think the market is getting really niched because you have the B Corp companies that have the double bottom line. You have sustainability. So everybody is a lot of the incubators and accelerator programs are now focusing more on specific types of businesses. To provide really the best support.
Yeah.
What I do is I do a lot of those same types of things. People start and incubate their businesses in my space, and I have educational programs to help them accelerate their businesses. But I work with a lot of different people, and my thread is female focused.
Yeah. What I really love about the structure of your business is that you get to pivot when the market pivots.
Yep.
You don't have a major board of directors that you have to clear things through, and it's just you.
Know, it's really
right?
great.
It's you.
Well, it's great sometimes,
it's amazing.
and sometimes it's
I'm
hard.
sure there's some challenge. You could
yeah.
have used that sounding board. Have you surrounded yourself with folks who could be your sounding board or
absolutely.
hold you accountable?
You have to do that. You really have to do that, because otherwise you can get go off in one direction or the other and have it not get taken off focus.
Right.
I mean, I help people focus all the time, and sometimes it happens to me where I kind of going down a path and I'm like, somebody said, why are you even doing that? Why are you thinking about that?
I mean, there's got to be a lot of shiny apples that you see out there sometimes
there is.
too.
But the industry, the market is really changing. And co-working space is a fairly new industry.
Right.
But where is it going to be in 5 years? I have a 10-year lease.
Uh-huh.
So, and I'm 2 years in.
Right.
But in 10 years, is the model going to be the same?
You're going to outgrow that space really soon. So,
I'm hoping. Yeah.
What is your member makeup? If we could segment out on on average, what kinds of members or business types do they have?
Well, a lot of my members are consultants. They're selling their expertise as a service, whether it's a lawyer, whether it's a marketing company, whether it's a writer, whether it's we just have I have a lot of people that are consultants,
Right.
to provide expertise. And then I also have a woman building power plants in Africa.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, which is not my typical member, but
Right.
so
How do you
most
help
of
her with that? I mean,
Well, you know what? She has that whole skill set, but she still needs the same sort of stuff in terms of keeping focus and the support, emotional support that you need when you're actually building a huge business that she's building. I mean, and so she asks the same sort of questions, about when do I get a lawyer, and how do I do this, and how do I do that?
Wow.
So there's this thread that's through everybody, through all these different businesses.
So we know there's that old African proverb that says it takes a village to raise, a child. And that is really your tag. It takes a village to raise a business. How did you come to that?
Well, I think that it's a natural way that women work. I think that that's the beauty of it, is that we're actually taking advantage of women's strengths. I don't have to convince anybody to sit down in a room with somebody and give somebody feedback and perspective. They do it willingly. They give of themselves. They share their positive experiences. They share their negative experiences. They're honest and supportive, and without anything back for them.
Right.
And I truly believe that that's a women's spirit. That's women's spirit. And I think that that's that community where it's not just my business,
Right.
it's our business.
Do you have lots of talks around pricing and how to create costs for their services and so forth, and not giving away the whole farm and
and I have,
charging what you're worth and
absolutely. And I think a lot of times women tend to undercharge.
yeah, right.
And but another unique thing that I've learned through some of my members that have come from academia, that are now consulting. In academia, boy, you're paid to research,
Right.
and your knowledge is public domain.
Right.
And so it's a really difficult transition when you go to now being a consultant.
Right.
And how do I stop myself from giving my service away?
Yeah, when you like to write in journals, you want to publish, you want to show all those things.
Right.
And now you got to hold a little bit of that back so you can get paid for some of it. That's not
you got to hold a lot of it back. Say, well, that's an excellent question. Let me put that in my proposal.
Right.
How I can help you solve that problem rather than solving it for them on the spot, which is what people would normally do. So it's interesting to see. I hadn't really thought of that before, but I have a couple of members that are making that transition, and so helping them script, and figure out how do I get myself out of that box,
right?
Or how do I not get in that box to start with? It's what I love to do. I love brainstorming with people and working with them on that, and getting other people involved too, and that's.
I asked you a question earlier and really made a statement regarding you being able to pivot with your business type, which is amazing for women in business that you're helping and women that you are coming into contact with and thinking about all of the ways that the market continues to shift and, of course, social media, and we don't have to talk about that. But it continues to create new ways for us to do business, new ideas for business, the information sources that are out there. You have an IT background, so you know exactly what it means to be able to get your hands on new information in a 5-second maximum time frame versus what might have taken months or even years to research in the past. Would you say that women of today are prepared for tomorrow's challenges, and do they have the tools to solve tomorrow's problems?
They're more than prepared. I think they're more than prepared. I think it's do they believe that they're prepared? And I think it's a confidence factor. They kind of want to be 100% sure that I know absolutely everything I need to know before I get started. But I do believe they're prepared. I believe that women are the ones that are, they're really getting in there, they're digging in, they're researching because they want to be knowledgeable about whatever it is and so, so I think I think now I'm feeling maybe it's just in DC with all the momentum that's being built with the Beacon Initiative and these other organizations that I'm working with, is I really think there's this wave building and a lot of conversation. We need to keep having the conversation. I mean, this is great, to have programs like yours that gives people an opportunity to have that conversation about, how do we continue to give women opportunities, so that and how they can take advantage of the opportunities that they have.
Right. I mean, and speaking of that, for Hera Hub and your counterparts out there in business, who are building similar types of organizations, what do you all have to do so that you're prepared for tomorrow's business owners? Because I mean, I'm imagining that you've got some millennials that you might be helping, or there's some that are looking at your organization thinking, and that might be a great fit for me. What do you all have to do to stay prepared?
Well, I just think you have to, number one, I think you have to listen. I think you have to not think you know everything and be open to learning from people. I've learned so much from my daughters. They're 23 years old, set of twins, and I've learned so much about business, about myself, and I think that you have to just be open and receptive. It doesn't mean you have to act on everything and go in a different direction, but I think if you say, nope, it's this way, my way or the highway, that you're not going to, you're going to fall behind, and especially now. And so you just have to listen to what's out there and be observant. I think that that's the biggest thing, and you have to be looking for the trends.
Right.
You can't just sit back and wait for things to happen for you. You have to be on the crest of, and looking for what's that next thing.
Right. That's so true in terms of being aware that tomorrow is coming and looking out there to see, well, what might be coming down the pike. And there are signs that let us know that this is the direction. But if we do, put our head in the sand, then, we do miss opportunities to not only move forward, but to remain relevant,
Right. Yeah, it moves so fast. It just really moves so, and now I think with technology, it just moves so fast that you can't it's hard to kind of even imagine what the next step will be. And that's why you just have to
Yeah.
be thinking about it constantly.
There's another stat out there that talks about entrepreneurs, and it says that the majority of entrepreneurs, and I guess about 10 to 20 years, are also going to have coding experience or be coders as well. Are you thinking about that? And I know you have all these sorts of wonderful programs, and I'd like to talk just a second about the different things that you have coming up on your calendar, because you've got a lot of great things coming up on your calendar as well.
Yeah, we do all different kinds of things. We have, tomorrow night we've got our art reception. We are a gallery for women artists, so we've got an art reception with live music and raising money for Project Hera, which is a local organization for female musicians. We just I do monthly coffee meetups for people within the community and outside the community, just to network, get a chance to meet each other. We have our regular weekly member support programs that add some structure to, if people want to take advantage of them. It's great, business development on Monday and Writers Lounge on Tuesday, that sort of thing. But we also have a lot of events that are open to the public where, we've done film screenings and all different things like that. It's going to be a little slower in the summertime, but we've got somebody teaching Reiki.
Yeah, I saw that on your website. No, I thought that was amazing.
Yeah,
I mean, that's the feeding of that internally. You can use it in both ways, I guess, but
yeah. So it's we've just got all of these great events, and I usually try to have one big event once a quarter or every couple of months that I focus on. We're going to be doing an Angel Venture Forum. We're going to be hosting them and being in the fall, so that women can learn about angel investment and
that's great.
How to get angel investment money. So
because that's a major challenge, right?
Yeah, it is. So
access
that's
to capital is that's wonderful.
Yeah,
well, I
so
just applaud you,
well,
Julia.
thank you.
I applaud you. What's the intake process like? We've got a couple minutes left.
Yeah.
But what can they expect if they reach out to you and want to join or find out about the program?
First thing I do is I meet with everybody when they come in, because I really want them to really understand what Hera Hub is about, and also, it's not a lead generation place, because we're not a place where somebody comes in and expects to get 6 leads a week.
It's not like a BNI. I mean,
no, it's not a BNI, and they are great.
They are wonderful.
They are great, and people have built their businesses off of that.
Yeah.
But we're not that, because nobody wants to come and co-work next to somebody who's trying to sell them their business, their product. But eventually, people do business together a lot of times, and they combine their expertise in a proposal and that sort of thing. So, but I meet with everybody because I really want to understand their intention and explain to them the community that we're building. And if they're not interested in participating in that, then that's fine.
Right.
But we kind of set the tone.
Any advice for women who are watching and trying to determine if Hera Hub is a good fit for them?
I would say just come and meet us. Come for coffee, third Friday of every month from 9 to 10:30. You can meet our members. You can meet some other people and just see what we're all about.
Right. Well, again, Julia, first of all, congratulations for launching such a wonderful, wonderful resource, is what I can call it, for women, where you're providing so many different solutions. And I would imagine that you're saving the day for so many people.
Well, I like to think that
I would imagine you don't have your, the Wonder Woman cape on here,
but
Felina
has one, and she looks awesome in it. I tell you.
But I would imagine that you're saving the day, because I've been in business before, and I know that after you have the idea, all the other stuff does not come easy.
No.
It's not intuitive, and you really, really need help.
And you need your support, too.
Need some support. Again, thank you so much for being here. You can learn more about Hera Hub DC at herahub.com/DC. Thank you again, Julia, for being with us.
Thank you so much. I really enjoyed it. Thank you. And please come see me. I'd love to see you.
You've been watching Think Big. I'm your host, Akia Garnett. Keep up with the show at akiagarnett.com/Think Big. See you next time.
Bye-bye.